Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Ron Siegel Radio, this is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, we are celebrating today. What are we celebrating today? Oh, I like that one. National Play Day with Dad. You know, I think that's a great one, Josh. I didn't see that on the list this morning, but Play Day with Dad. You know, I look back at all the years because my kids are older now. So, but I look back at all the years that I got to spend a lot of time with my boys, and spending time going out there and playing. I always, I might be dating myself here, but do you remember the song Cats and I'm not a big one on remembering songs or anything like that. Jim Croce, Cats in the Cradle. I don't know if you remember that song, but it kind of hits home when you think about it because, you know, it's so true. You know, dads, a lot of times dads don't have the time when the kids are young. Then as the time goes by, kids have a lot less time for dad. That was a great song. So Play Day with Dad. Love it. And, you know, I'll tell you because I'm old and I can say this. And I tell this to my boys all the time. My two older boys have sons of their own. One of them has a 4-year-old. The other one has a 1-year-old. And I can honestly say that every single age that the kids get at seems to be better than the last. And you wonder, you say, but this is great. And, you know, now my boys are older, 30 to 35 years old between the three of them. And I'm still saying the same thing. It's great to be with the boys, great to have the good time. National Parfait Day. I don't even know if we did a graphic on National Parfait Day. There it is, of course. Not good for my diet, but you know, I guess if you use the low-cal whipped cream, it's not as bad. A little granola in there. You know, I bet you could make a parfait with Greek yogurt too. Because one of the big challenges when you're taking the weight loss journeys, and you know, I can say that I don't know everything about it. I don't know. I know my family's experience, my friends' experience. You know, it's not a matter. You don't want to eat. So you have to force yourself to eat. So if you're forcing yourself to eat, why not just eat right? So some of the Greek yogurts, lots of protein in there. I have several protein shakes, but I have found that if you eat more of a animal-based protein and do it the right way, that's where more success comes from. And as my bariatric doctor told me many, many times, he tells everybody, actually, after you have a bariatric bypass surgery, my doctor anyway, gives you an owner's guide, which is basically a guide to your body. And it basically says, they use the acronym WEPONS, WEPNS, weapons. And that acronym is water, exercise, protein first, no snacks and supplements. So love that one there. If you want more information about the shots and things like that, rsrlinks.com/shot, rsrlinks.com/shot. And we can chat with you about those. Not giving medical advice. I do research. I share research. You do your own research and consult with your medical people because they're the ones that are licensed to give medical advice. Coming up on Thanksgiving, and I'm watching on the monitor next to me here. If you're watching any of the news channels or the cable news, you're probably getting a good idea of the president is on TV once again. That's not news. That's old stuff. But they're about to go through with the traditional Thanksgiving Day turkey pardon. No, they're not talking about James Comey. They're talking about the real turkeys. And then I guess they go off to a college and live the rest of their lives at that college. But getting ready to pardon the turkeys. So what is your biggest Thanksgiving tradition? Could it possibly be Thanksgiving Day football? It's like what the New Year's Day used to be. All day long football games. The Lions always have a home game. The Cowboys always have a home game. We don't know if the Cowboys will show up, but they always get a game. And then there's the late game. I don't even remember who's playing in all the games this year. But I think it's the Cowboys are playing the Chiefs and the Lions are playing the Packers, I think it is. And I don't remember who the late game is, but that's fun. But here's the question. When was the first Thanksgiving Day NFL game? When was the first Thanksgiving NFL game? Now, I'm going to tell you, it could not have been on TV because I don't think they had TV back then. So was it 1920, 1925, 1930, or 1935? There is the question. Put it in the chat. Do you have any idea? If you don't have it in the chat, if you're not putting it in the chat, if you're listening to us on ABC News and Talk AM 1490 FM 98.1 in your car, just yell in the car. We'll hear you. When was the first Thanksgiving NFL game? We'll get back to that. Josh, remind me before the end of the segment so we can don't want to leave people hanging here. But let's take a look and see what are the markets doing today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 513 points. Wow, that's that's a nice number to see that one going up. Okay. My board doesn't seem. Josh, you hearing the board at all? Okay, I don't know what happened to the board, but as they say, it worked in rehearsal when we were in the top of the show, but now it doesn't seem to be doing anything for us. So we'll kind of play with that here for a minute. No sound on that one. So we've got the Dow Jones up 514. The NASDAQ is up 24. S&P 500 is up 37.95. Oil is down $1.03 a barrel. It's not going to matter in California because it's California, right? So we're just going to, we have Gavin Newsom still. So our gas prices are higher than the rest of the country. Even the oil producing state of Hawaii got lower gas prices than we do. But there's a lot going on in the world right now when it comes to mortgages and markets. We thought it was going to be a quiet week, and it usually is a quiet week. But for some reason, this week's been a little crazier than normal. So we're watching all of it. We watch everything for you just to make sure that we're constantly giving you the best information that is available. But we've got a very, very weak jobs number that came out this morning. No, it's not our traditional jobs number. We didn't get that one, but we got some jobs information that is not helping not helpful when you look at the market, but it is helpful when you're talking about what do we do? We're always looking at housing. We're always looking at mortgages, and we're watching what the Federal Reserve is doing. And now the markets are actually coming back and saying Federal Reserve is thinking that we might be getting, there might be, not them thinking, it's the markets are thinking that we might be seeing some more rate cuts coming down the pike. So, and I don't know why my sounds are not working, but it's just the fun of the markets. So let's get back to our question of the day. When was the first Thanksgiving NFL game? 1920, 1925, 1930, 1935. I don't see anybody having put the right answer in our chat. It was 1920. 1920. First NFL game, Thanksgiving NFL game. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, downsizing without debt, how more homeowners are buying their next house in cash. Reverse mortgage myths, the real cost of estate planning in California. And we'll talk about flood insurance protection, all that and more. Reach me anytime, off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel numero 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. And every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They only tell us the number you put in your mortgage calculator to figure out what your principal and interest payment will be. And it looks like we had a mixed market yesterday. Conventional 30-year fixed down 6.189. Jumbo 30-year fixed up 6.454. FHA 30-year fixed down 6.029. VA 30-year fixed up 5.841. USDA 30-year fixed down 5.959. And if you want our thoughts about the market each and every business day morning as early as the data allows, check out the Ron Siegel Radio community. Yes, you can get there for free. Register there, rsrlinks.com/HBOD, rsrlinks.com/HBOD. And yes, we do put out our thoughts as early as the data allows every business day morning. And yes, they are there already. So what's going on in the markets right now? The S&P 500 is now up 39 points. We're looking at the 10-year Treasury. Ooh, it's getting close to that magic number. It's at 4.006. So it's down a little bit today. Are we going to break through it's not a technical number, it's a psychological number of 4%. Will we break that, go below it? Mortgage bond is up 10 basis points. That means mortgage rates are down. Does that mean it's down for everybody? No. It means that the bond is moving down, but the investors are going to do what they want to do each day. So they come out with their pricing, usually about 6:30, 7 o'clock, about 7 o'clock California time, each business day morning. And then we see where they go from there. When we look at a time like this week, especially today, it's going to get that way a little later in the day. Tomorrow and Friday for sure, the bond markets are opened. But the bond traders are not there. They're taking time off. You know that today is the busiest day of the travel season. So as far as getting out of towns, Sunday, Monday, the busy days coming back to town. So when you look at all that, it just tells you that the bond traders, they're getting out of town early as well. And what's that mean to you? More volatility. When there's less volume, every little thing makes it more volatile. Now, today we got all kinds of stuff going on. San Francisco Fed president, non-voting member, Mary Daly, she's in the news, said that she supports cutting rates on December 10th because of the sudden deterioration in the labor market. She also said that an inflation breakout is a lower risk. There's been a shift at the Fed ever since New York Fed President Williams' comments, where there is now more support for a cut on December 10th after the latest weekly ADP employment report. Hard to imagine that other Fed members will be able to fight the feeling of a souring labor market. So what am I talking about there? ADP released their weekly job insights report showing that on average, there were 13,500 job losses each week in the 4 weeks ending November 8th. That was even weaker than the previous report released last week, which was revised lower from 2,500 job losses each week to 7,500 job losses. Clearly, the ADP report is showing a lot of weakness in the labor market, yet Nella Richardson from ADP said that while hiring momentum is slower than what they expect at this time of year, the overall jobs market is still okay. She pointed to low initial jobless claims and the unemployment rate still being historically low, giving the labor market a grade of B- or C+. She fails to look at continuing claims within the same report. And while the unemployment rate is still low, historically speaking, it has gone up each of the last 3 months and is much higher than where it was at 3.4% in 2023. No idea what she's looking at when giving her grade, because this looks more like a D or D-. After the ADP report, the odds of a rate cut on December 10th increased to 85%. This is clearly a volatile figure, but becomes more accurate the closer it gets to the actual Fed meeting. Let's see what happens next week. The Producer Price Index, which measures wholesale inflation, showed that headline inflation rose 0.3% in September, which was right in line with estimates. Year-over-year headline inflation rose 2.7%, which was also in line with estimates, and the same as August after it was revised higher by 1/10. Gas prices rose 11.8%, which was the main reason for headline rose 0.3%. Core PPI, which strips out food and energy, rose 0.1% in September, was cooler than the 0.2% expected year over year. Core PPI decreased from 2.8 to 2.6, which is cooler than estimates of 2.7. The PPI has a 12% influence on the personal consumption expenditure report, which is the Fed's favorite measure of inflation. The shared components were well behaved in aggregate. So from that piece of the puzzle, it should lead to tamer PCE report. Retail sales for September, which gives a read on the health of consumer spending, rose 0.2%, which was half of estimates. Core retail sales, which is important and is plugged into GDP, fell 0.1%, which is much weaker than the 0.3% rise expected. If this trend continues and the consumer continues to show weakness, it could lead to a slower overall economy with weaker inflation and labor figures. Case-Shiller and the FHFA appreciation reports. Case-Shiller Home Price Index, which is the gold standard for appreciation, showed that home prices rose 0.2% in September on a seasonally adjusted basis. The raw figures show that home prices fell 0.3%. Second month in a row where there have been home price gains on a seasonally adjusted basis, which is a nice shift from 5 months in a row of declines prior. Likely reflecting some more activity since rates fell in September. Year over year, home prices rose 1.3%, which is a moderation from 1.4% in the previous report. The FHFA, Federal Housing Finance Agency, released their house price index, which measures home price appreciation on a single-family homes with conforming loan amounts. Different than Case-Shiller, it does not include cash buyers or jumbo loans. The FHFA reported that home prices were flat in September after seasonal adjustments. Year over year, FHFA is showing that home prices are up 1.7% year over year and down from 2.4%. PCE for September will now be released on December 5th. October and November will both be rescheduled. Q3 GDP advanced reading will be released on December 23rd. The preliminary release will be skipped, and the final will be rescheduled. That's the Mortgage Minutes, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. Let's see. What can we do that'll give us some good information here? Borrow Smart, brought to you by gethomeselect.com, gethomeselect.com. How a $66,000 mistake could wipe out your home equity and why insurance won't save you. Here's a number that might shake. Ooh, that's interesting. My English is really good today, huh, Josh? Here's a number that might shock you. $66,000. That's the average payout for a flood claim. And here's what's even more surprising. Standard homeowners insurance does not cover flooding. So if you think you're protected, you might want to think again. I am Ron Siegel, certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Today, we're talking about protecting one of your biggest assets, your home, from a risk many people don't even know they have. Let me share what happened to a client of mine in Orange County. They lived nowhere near a flood zone, or so they thought. A broken water main combined with heavy rain, and suddenly they had 3 inches of water throughout their first floor. The damage? Over $45,000. Their homeowner's insurance covered exactly $0 of it. Here's what most people don't understand. Flooding isn't just about living near a river or being in a designated flood zone. Over 25% of all flood insurance claims come from areas classified as moderate to low risk. Think about that. 1 in 4 flood claims happens to people who thought, that won't happen to me. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Ron, I've been in my home for 20 years and never had a flood. Fair point. But let's talk about this through my safety, liquidity, and return framework, specifically the safety piece. When I work with families on strategic debt management, we always look at the complete financial picture, and part of that picture is protecting your equity. If you've got $200,000 or $400,000 in home equity and a flood causes $66,000 in damage, where is that money coming from? Your savings, your emergency fund? That impacts your liquidity immediately. Here's what makes flood insurance different from other coverage. It's available through the National Flood Insurance Program, but your community has to participate. You'll work with a local insurance agent to get it set up. The cost depends on several factors. Your home's age, how many floors you have, where contents are located. If you're in a moderate to low risk area, you might qualify for preferred rates with building and contents coverage bundled together. High risk areas have separate coverage options for buildings and contents. Now here's where strategy comes in. And you know I always say strategy beats rate always. Just like with your mortgage, you need to think about deductibles. A higher deductible lowers your premium, but ask yourself, do I have that deductible amount readily available? That's the liquidity question again. I had another client who was refinancing and asked about flood insurance. They had a $500 deductible on their homeowner's policy and figured the same made sense for flood coverage. When we looked at their household blended interest rate and cash flow, it made more sense to take a $2,500 deductible and save $400 a year in premiums. Over 10 years, that's $4,000 in savings. If they never have a claim, they protected themselves and saved money. If they do have a claim, they still got the financial cushion to cover that higher deductible. This ties directly into strategic debt management because every dollar you're spending on insurance premiums is a dollar that could be working harder for you elsewhere, or a dollar that affects your monthly cash flow. The goal isn't to be insurance poor while your house rich. Here's what I want you to do. Pull out your homeowner's insurance policy and check if flood coverage is included. Chances are it's not. Then ask yourself, if I had $50,000 or $70,000 in flood damage tomorrow, where would that money come from? This is exactly the kind of analysis we do when we look at your complete financial strategy. It's not just about your mortgage rate. It's about protecting what you've built and making sure every dollar in your household budget is working as hard as possible. Visit rsrlinks.com/keysteps to access tools that help you see your complete financial picture, including insurance strategy as part of your overall plan. Remember, strategy beats rate always, and that strategy includes protecting your home equity from risks you might not even know exist. I am Ron Siegel. I'll talk with you next time. Again, I am your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. That's the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. When we come back, now we're going to talk about reverse mortgage miscs, the real cost of estate planning in California, and downsizing without debt, how homeowners are buying their next house in cash. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Downsizing without debt. How more homeowners are buying their next house in cash. If you've been thinking about downsizing to lower your expenses, be closer to family, or just make life easier, here's a trend worth paying attention to. More homeowners are buying their next house outright without taking on a new mortgage. And if you've owned your home for a while, you may be able to do the same. No mortgage, no monthly housing payments. A record share of homeowners are mortgage-free. According to analysis from Resi Club of census data, more than 40% of U.S. owner-occupied homes are mortgage-free, an all-time high for this data series. That means 4 in 10 homeowners own their homes free and clear. And yes, I do say that's high risk, but that's a different story. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490, FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing the chart that shows 40% of homeowners are now mortgage-free. One big reason for this trend, demographics. As baby boomers age and stay in their homes longer, many have had the time to fully pay off their mortgages. And you might be right in that group too, and not even realize just how much buying power you now have. It's time to change that. How downsizers are turning equity into buying power. As a homeowner, your equity is your biggest advantage in today's market. If you're mortgage-free or close to it, it could give you the power to buy your next home in cash. That means you'd still have no mortgage payment in retirement, plus less financial stress as you age, more cash flow if you purchase a less expensive home, and it would likely be a faster, simpler transaction. Here's how it works. You'd sell your current house and use the proceeds to buy your next house in cash. And while that may sound like something you thought would never be possible for you, it's more realistic than you may think. In the latest survey from John Burns Research and Consulting and Keeping Current Matters, agents reported the share of purchases with all cash buyers is climbing nationally. And those agents are seeing increases in almost every region of the country. And again, you can see in the next graph here shows all set cash sales rose year over year in these key regions. For baby boomers, especially buying in cash, gives you more control over your next chapter. You could buy a smaller, less expensive home and have lower costs, less upkeep, and more flexibility to enjoy what matters most, all while staying debt and stress-free. Because downsizing isn't about downgrading your home, it's about upgrading your quality of life, and that's something worth exploring. Now, I would submit that I like having the cash, not having it tied up in the equity, just my personal opinion, and I am in that older age category. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. Bottom line, you've worked hard for your home. Now it might be time for it to work hard for you. Let's talk about what your house is worth and what it could unlock for you today. Would your ideal home look like if you were to downsize right now? Or as I put it, how about right-sizing right now? That's the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. So let's flip to the other side of that Mortgage 101, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. Let's talk about the reverse mortgage. And it's one of my favorite products because I like liquidity. And to be honest with you, I like a big house. And with a reverse mortgage, if you could go and buy a house for cash and instead you did it with a reverse mortgage, you're going to put a lot of money into a safe, secure, liquid investment. So let's talk about some of the myths. Myth number one, the lender owns the home. No, that's not true. The lender does not own the home. You own the home. And I wish my buzzer was working, but it's not. So we're going to just have to go without it. So the lender doesn't own the home. The lender has a lien on the home. Just like with any other mortgage product, there's a lien. And the reverse mortgage is no different. It's a lien on the property. You still have total control of the home to do whatever you want, whenever you want. The only thing is you got to live there. Got to pay your property taxes. Got to keep it a safe, pay your insurance in a safe, secure place for you to live. But the lender does not own your home. Myth number two, the home must be free and clear of any existing mortgages. No. You can pay off your existing mortgages. Actually, there's now a reverse second. So you might not even have to pay off the reverse mortgage, your initial mortgage, in order to get that. But the home does not have to be free and clear of any existing mortgages. You can refinance them and pay them off. You can get and just put the new reverse mortgage on there. You might have some extra liquidity on top of that. And those people that understand the reverse mortgage, there are tax advantages to it as well. Myth number three, once loan proceeds are received, you pay taxes on them. No, taxes are on income, not on debt. So the proceeds from the reverse mortgage is just like any other loan. It is a loan. It's got a lien on the property. So the proceeds are not taxed. I'm not a tax attorney, but I'm right. Number four, the borrower is restricted on how to use the loan proceeds. No, it's another myth. The borrower can use those proceeds however they want. I've helped families already who have pulled money out of a free and clear property because they wanted to give the money to their children. There was plenty of liquidity, plenty of money available, and they wanted to see their kids enjoy the property while they were still alive. Their kids were going to get the estate anyway, so why not give them the property while they could still enjoy them, enjoy seeing them, or give the proceeds, not the property, but give the money to the kids while they could still see the kids enjoying it. So it's done in many, many instances as a financial strategy, just the way it works there. So that's another myth. Myth number five, it's only for poor people. The percentage of reverse mortgage as an assistance for the poor is changing. Many affluent senior borrowers with multi-million-dollar homes and healthy retirement assets are using reverse mortgage loans as part of their financial and estate planning. So I did help a family last year, I think it was, maybe the year before. So we helped them pull quite a significant number of dollars out of their property, and they wanted to give their kids a Christmas present. and they wanted more liquidity for themselves. So they pulled significant numbers of dollars out of the property, and they gave each of the kids a very, very significant gift. And then they had the money. They got to see their kids enjoy that money. And that was the whole idea. They're going to get the money anyway. They're going to get the estate anyway. Now, the other thing is there's a lot of folks that'll take out a reverse mortgage because right now we're looking at the stock market, and the stock market is very, very elevated. Is it going to correct? Yes. When? I don't know. But it always corrects. So I'm not going to tell you that it's not going to correct this time, because it will correct like it always does. So what happens then? There's a strategy called the IRA extension. How does it work? Well, basically you have a reverse mortgage with a variable rate reverse. And I know that anybody that is of age to get a reverse mortgage, like me, lived through the 18% interest rates of the 80s, or the double-digit interest rates of the 80s. And you worry about adjustable rate mortgages. But with the adjustable rate reverse, there's a huge amount of benefits to it that way offset any risk, in my opinion. What are they? Well, you can put money in, you can take money out. Payments are optional. Why do I like optional payments? Well, the money that's accumulating in the reverse, the interest expense that accumulates or accrues, that's not deductible. But when you make a payment, it pays interest first. Now it's deductible. It's not an accrual anymore. It's a realized expense. So you take your RMD, your required mandatory distributions from your IRA or retirement fund, put it into the reverse mortgage that has accumulated deferred interest, and you get that, you harvest that benefit, talk to your CPA about it. Now you can just write a check and take that money back if you want, because it's not deductible. It's not a taxable event. Now, it was taxable when you took the money out of your retirement fund. Again, talk to your CPA or tax planner, because I'm not giving tax advice. But now you've got a write-off against it. So you do that strategically. Now, when the stock market goes down, you pull money out of your reverse mortgage. So you're not selling stocks to live. Now it goes back up. That's when you sell it, when it makes most sense for you and your family. That's when you sell, not before. Okay, you put the money back into the reverse. That way you've got it there. And there are some insurance planners and financial planners that can actually look at this and give you a better idea of exactly how much longer your money lasts by using it strategically like this. So there's a lot of strategy involved in the reverse mortgage. It's not just something for those that are in dire straits. Just throw that out there for you. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, let's see, we did the real cost of estate planning in California. I think we're going to talk about that one next. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
HIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime. At 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. What do we have here? Borrow Smart segment brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. Think estate planning is only for the wealthy? A single mistake on a do-it-yourself living trust could cost your family thousands in probate court. I'm talking about fees that can eat up 4 to 8% of everything you've worked for. I am Ron Siegel, certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Today, we're talking about something that affects every California homeowner, protecting your family's financial future without breaking the bank. Here's what most people don't understand about living trusts. They see a $50 online template and think they're saving money, but here's the reality. An improperly prepared trust is worse than having no trust at all. Recently spoke to a family who spent $150 on a DIY trust. Seemed like a great deal, right? Fast forward 3 years, the father passes away unexpectedly. The family discovers the trust was never properly funded. His house, his largest asset, was not titled correctly. Result, 18 months in probate court and nearly $45,000 in fees on a $600,000 estate. That savings cost them over $44,000. Yeah, that savings is quote unquote savings. Let's talk about what a living trust actually does. It's not just a document, it's a financial safety net. I consider it the greatest gift you can give your family. When properly set up, it bypasses probate entirely. Your family gets immediate access to assets. Everything stays private, not part of public court records. And if you become incapacitated, there's a clear plan for managing your finances without court involvement. Now the cost question. Traditional law firms in California typically charge $2,500 to $6,500 for a complete trust package. Not if you go to rsrlinks.com/trust. rsrlink.com/trust. That includes the trust document, pour-over wills, powers of attorney, healthcare directives, and deed transfers. Many charge $250 to $450 per hour. But here's where strategy beats rate. Always. The real question isn't how much does it cost? It's what am I actually getting? A comprehensive living trust package should include several critical components. First, the revocable living trust itself, customized to your specific situation. Second, pour-over wills that catch any assets not titled to the trust. Third, durable powers of attorney for financial decisions. Fourth, advanced healthcare directives and HIPAA authorizations. And fifth, this is a crucial, proper funding guidance to actually transfer your assets into the trust. That last piece is where most people stumble. A trust is like a safe. If you buy an expensive safe but never put your valuables inside, what's the point? Funding means retitling your home, updating beneficiary designations on accounts, and creating proper asset schedules. Without this step, your trust is worthless. I've seen 3 common scenarios where families lose money on estate planning. First, the DIY approach. You save $2,000 up front, but create a trust that doesn't comply with California law. Second, the incomplete trust. You work with an attorney who drafts documents, but doesn't help with funding. Your family still ends up in probate. Third, the outdated trust. Life changes, marriage, divorce, new property, but the trust never gets updated. Think about the safety, liquidity, and return framework we always discuss. Safety means legal documents that actually protect your family. Liquidity means your heirs can access assets quickly without court delays. Return means the value you're getting for your investment. California probate can take 12 to 18 months minimum. During that time, assets are frozen, your family can't access them. The court supervises everything, attorney fees, executor fees, court costs. They all add up. On a modest $500,000 estate, you're looking at $20,000 to $40,000 in probate costs. Compare that to a properly prepared trust. One-time cost, typically $2,500 to $4,000 for most families. Assets transfer immediately. No court involvement, no public records, no 18-month wait. The household blended interest rate principle applies here too. What matters isn't just the upfront cost, it's the total impact on your family's financial situation. Here's what I want you to do. If you own a home in California, if you have savings or investments, if you have family you want to protect, don't wait. Don't fall for the DIY trap. Get proper guidance from professionals who understand both the legal requirements and the funding process. Visit rsrlinks.com/trust, rsrlinks.com/trust to learn more about protecting your family's financial future. Remember, strategy beats rate always. An investment in proper estate planning today prevents a financial disaster for your family tomorrow. This is Ron Siegel reminding you that building wealth isn't just about what you accumulate. It's about protecting what matters most. That is the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. You know, it's Thanksgiving, and we are thankful for you. We appreciate you checking in with us on a regular basis. And, you know, it's just something that we like to always say thank you to you. Let's give away some stuff, Josh. How about it? The Home Buyer's Guide. I think we've got the fall one out now. rsrlinks.com/HBG. rsrlinks.com/HBG. We've got the Home Seller's Guide, rsrlinks.com/HSG. And how about figuring out how much your house is worth? rsrlinks.com/homewealth. rsrlinks.com/homewealth. And hey, I should have mentioned this earlier during our conversations about the reverse mortgage. You want more information on the reverse mortgage? rsrlinks.com/reverse. rsrlinks.com/reverse. So you can go and get all kinds of information right there. rsrlinks.com/reverse. And as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.